All right, welcome everyone. I'm Nick. Many of you know me as Wealthmatica. Today is a very special day because I'd like to welcome my first ever guest to my channel, CEO of Zeta Global, David A. Steinberg. The floor is yours, David. Tell us who you are and what does Zeta do?
Well, let's start by saying I am honored to be your first guest. And the fact that we get to do this together is really fun. So in 20 years, when you've done 1,000 of these, and Elon Musk and Jensen are on every week, you'll be able to look back and say, Steinberg was the first. So here we are.
I hope so. I hope so. So, David, tell us who are you and what does Zeta do?
So well, I'm the CEO and co-founder and chairman of Zeta Global. We are a large big data and artificial intelligence platform that focuses on helping very large enterprises to more cost efficiently manage their marketing and CRM.
Okay. And recently you guys just dropped a brand new technology, or at least told us that you're going to be dropping in Q1 2026. That is
Well, it's
called
dropped. I mean, it is out. It's Athena lives. She's running around. She's not just hats behind me, but she's in a few clients' hands now, which is new information. A number of our clients are already using it today. And in Q1, we expect it to be fully production ready out of beta and into our clients' hands.
Okay, okay, yes, because I remember you mentioned recently that by Q1 2026, it's going to be fully deployable to every single client within your ecosystem. Now, about
Yes.
Athena. I've mentioned that Athena is Zeta Global's AIP moment, but you've mentioned how this is going to be the most pivotal effort ever for Zeta Global for the One Zeta methodology. Can you kind of hone in on that? What do you mean by that?
So let's start by talking about that's two sort of different things. One, I do think that Athena will be the single biggest pivot we have made at Zeta since we started programming in artificial intelligence in 2017. Most of our competitors started a year or two ago. Um, Athena, to describe her, is a fully conversational, super intelligent agent. So you speak to her the way we're speaking right now. You can interrupt, you can chat, you can ask further questions, you can say, that's not what I was interested in. And not only will she respond to you and answer all of your questions, she will simultaneously drive your screen while she's doing it to show you the answers inside of the Zeta marketing platform. So it's literally going to remove the friction between the individual and the platform. What's really interesting is people have asked me, how did we get this advanced this fast? 2 years ago, we rolled out a platform, Nick, called Zoe. And Zoe was our first voice enablement platform. She was a little clunky, and you sort of have to speak to her and you'd have to wait. She couldn't drive the screen, she could just talk to you. Clients who adopted Zoe spend between 200 and 250% more on the Zeta marketing platform than clients that didn't adopt Zoe. That's how powerful we think the voice activation system is. So we were able to take Zoe, which already had built the UI, and that's how we use that as the foundation for what became Athena and what is Athena. So that's the first answer to your first question. As it relates to One Zeta, our big strategy on how do we get from just over 1% of our clients' wallet share today, our existing 572 global enterprise clients at the end of the third quarter of 2025 spend $100 billion a year on marketing with a B. This year, at the middle of our range, we have about 125 basis points of wallet share. My goal is to get to 500 basis points, 1,000 basis points, 5 or 10% in the years to come. We're not going to do that in the next year or two, but we think we can continue to do that. The strategy that we believe gets us from point A to point Z is, see what I did there with
I
Zeta?
did.
Is the One Zeta strategy. What we saw were clients who used multiple use cases of ours. So let's step back one more second. So when you think about our growth, we've grown our business on a compounded growth rate of over 30% a year, top line, over 50% EBITDA, and over 75, 80% free cash flow on a compounded basis for the last 3 years in a row. A lot of that came from the two different strategies. One, we have three use cases, okay, for our software. One is customer acquisition, one is customer retention, one is customer monetization. But we have 14 to 20 channels. Email might be a channel. Text might be a channel. Connected TV might be a channel. Online programmatic, online video. These are all different channels. In the last 3 years, we've taken our average customer from about one channel to over three channels. And that's how we've really grown the business. But we started looking inside of the numbers. And we saw that clients that used multiple use cases, meaning clients who used us for customer acquisition, customer retention, and/or customer monetization, not only spend greater than 300% of our average client, they also had by far the highest return on investment for what they spent on the Zeta marketing platform for what we're able to generate for them in revenue and profits to their business. It starts a flywheel, right? So the data around acquisition informs retention, which then in turn reforms monetization, which in turn informs acquisition. So we started this entire strategy on trying to move at some point all, but starting with a meaningful percentage of our customers from one use case to multiple. And that strategy is called One Zeta. And we brought in a gentleman named Ed C. Ed ran the chief marketing officer practice at McKinsey, the consulting firm. I'm sure you know it's very hard to steal a McKinsey partner, let alone a practice leader. But he was so excited about what we were doing with One Zeta that he joined us. Now he's brought a few of his team members. But the other big thing is Athena. So if you think about it today, you're using the platform for acquisition. You're in it. Most of our clients tend to be very, myopic in their use case. They're very focused on it. And you think about the fact that it's sort of, you'd have to flip over to a different part of the platform. You'd have to figure out how to use it to move from one use case to the other. Now, let's give an Athena example. You can literally be talking to Athena about your customer acquisition. You start by saying, hey, if I wanted to lower my cost to create a customer by 10%, but increase the amount of money I invest to do so, what would be the best channels to do that to my existing customers? And Athena will give you a full answer and show you the exact number count of people in the Zeta Data Cloud that you should target and which channels to target to them. You can then say, you know what, that looks okay, but I'd rather start a little smaller than that. Could we start with $2 million instead of $10 million? And I'd like a report every hour to show me the update on are we achieving the cost to create a customer goals? And Athena will then say, great, here's what I recommend. And you would say, great, do it, activate. Athena could then right there say to you, by the way, I was looking through your existing customers, and I think this 1.2 million people have a very high likelihood of churning off your platform. Would you like me to make a recommendation on how you can cut that churn in half? And Athena walks them into that second use case right there. That's why I personally think Athena is not only going to be a massive driver to growth in the years to come, but she's also going to be a massive driver for One Zeta.
Yeah, to really feed into that flywheel you were talking about. Okay, interesting. So kind of summarize, Athena captures the advisor mode, the workflow modes, and then the simulator modes.
Yeah, I would say she becomes your virtual data scientist, activator, and reporting infrastructure all in one.
Interesting. Okay, so something I really want to hone in on here. You mentioned the human friction level with that Zeta ecosystem, and you want to reduce that. You've mentioned that you've talked a lot with OpenAI, and you've mentioned that you're an official partner of OpenAI. Can you clarify whether or not Zeta is an official partner or Zeta using the OpenAI API services? Can you give us a little bit more color here for the retail community?
I have to be a little careful here because we're doing a lot of stuff that I'm not allowed to announce just yet. What I can tell you is today we partner with OpenAI. We use their voice interface to power Athena. So we're working with them very closely on that, and we're working on some much bigger stuff to be announced hopefully soon.
Okay, yeah, that's my follow-up. I was going to ask you. I noticed that you've mentioned in that Dan Ives interview, some bigger things are to come. Can you, without exposing the surprise, can you,
Without getting in trouble with Reg FD.
yeah, can you give us an idea of level of impact? Is this something that's going to be very significant in terms of a relationship to elevate Zeta's stature?
I've got to be very careful here. What I would
Okay.
tell you is we're working on some big stuff, and we don't say that type of thing lightly. Whether we'll get it done or not, I don't know. But what I can tell you is that we obviously believe they are, one of the biggest players in the world in AI today. We're one of the bigger players in AI in our space, and doing something with them, I think, would be very impactful for us. Yes.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm very excited. Now, recently you completed the Marigold acquisition of Marigold Enterprises. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
Amazing acquisition. Very impressed by that. When you guys were over in Europe, I kind of speculated that something was up. So again,
You
congratulations.
commented on that on
I
X. I
did.
saw you. I
I
saw you
did.
say that. And by the way, you were totally right. That was why we were there. We were doing meetings with them on getting the deal closed. And I obviously couldn't comment on that at the time, but it was very intuitive of you to see
Yes,
that.
yes. I try to stay in the loop for the best I can. Now,
No,
specifically
that
on the
was
Marigold
fantastic.
acquisition, what do you expect from this deal? What do you expect from this deal? And something I want to hone in on, speaking of international, what do you expect from international revenues from this Marigold acquisition?
So once again, that's two questions. So let's start with what do we love about the Marigold enterprise assets? First and foremost, Cheetah Digital has been a competitor of ours for many, many years. We tried to buy it on three separate occasions and were outbid. We were very happy to be able to get those assets where you've got, I don't know, over 40 Fortune 500 customers that are now on our platform. They're working with us and super excited about that. Two, Sail Through, which is one of the most important email platforms for publishers. So we're going to really be fully integrating that with the Live Intent acquisition. And if you think about a post Gemini and OpenAI world, 2 years ago, Nick, if you went to Google and you asked it a question, there was a 90+% likelihood you'd be referred off platform to a publisher, an e-commerce, or a brand to answer your question. Today, 60% of all questions asked on Google are being answered on their platform. So the results are publishers' traffic volumes are dropping precipitously. If you look at Sail Through, it's one of the most powerful email platforms in publishing, which I think is going to be a very meaningful way for publishers to bring traffic back. And two, Live Intent is the monetization engine for most of these publishers. So by putting that together in what we're going to call our publisher cloud, I think that's going to be really cool. Three, we picked up Selligent, which are the European assets. We'll come back to them for your second question. Four, and probably most importantly, we picked up one of the larger loyalty programs in the United States. So they manage the software for the loyalty programs for a large number of enterprises. Today, inside the Zeta marketing platform, we're ingesting, I don't know, call it 1 trillion signals a day that we can synthesize against the 550 million global people who are opted into the data cloud. And you can build intent off that. We use that data to train our algorithms. It's all proprietary. Nobody has access to it. We never expose it outside of our cloud ever. We don't get the SKU level data. We get most credit card transactions in the United States very regularly for every customer. And we're able to see what individuals are buying. Now, if you're a Burger King, it's highly probable you're buying a burger, right? If you're going to an airline, it's highly probable you're buying an airplane ticket. But if you're going to a retail store, we don't know what you're buying. The loyalty programs are going to give us the SKU level data to start training our algorithms for those clients. So today, we had an announcement a few weeks ago that Forrester did an independent study that showed for every dollar a client spends on our software, we return $6 in revenue. My goal is to get that to $10 in revenue because I think that's the inflection point. I think when we get to 10, that's how I get from 1.25% of wallet share to 5 or 10% of wallet share. I believe the loyalty program and the data that will come into it. Now that'll stay private to that customer. So if it's their loyalty program, it'll stay loyal to them. I'm sorry, it'll stay exclusive to them from a data perspective. But the reality is that we'll be able to get that customer to 10 to 1 because we'll have the SKU level data to train the algorithms. I then want to roll that loyalty program out to my entire 572 customers. So that's what I think we get from the Marigold deal. We did recently give updated and raised guidance that we're very excited about. And the deal was accretive the day we closed it. If you look at what we paid for it, we were able to buy it, I think, very, very effectively.
Yeah, it was quite a deal, I must say. That's impressive. Now, specifically on acquisitions, I kind of want to stay on this topic if you still have some more time.
Let's make this, I know we're a little bit over. Let's do one more
One
question
more
and then
question.
say goodbye, if that's
Sounds
okay.
good. Yes, sounds good to me. Recently, Adobe acquired SEMrush. Palantir partnered with Stagwell. Does this sort of M&A and partnership activity concern you in your space?
Not at all.
Not at all.
First of all, Braze is mobile first. They're one, I mean, I don't even know if they're a quarter our size. And they trade at a higher multiple than us, and they're growing slower, they're less profitable, and they're probably less than 25% our size. We don't see that in RFPs. They're sort of mobile first and trying to move into marketing automation. So the fact that they bought a platform that's focused on, sort of reverse engineering, getting people into the OpenAI, Gemini, and other algorithms doesn't really concern me one bit. We built a platform internally to do it, which I think is very good and very solid. As it relates to Palantir and Stagwell, to remind you, Stagwell is an agency holding corporation. They're actually a client of ours. We work with them. And Palantir we see as one of the shining lights of how to build a business. So we spend a lot of time looking at them and thinking about how do we do as good a job at what we do as Palantir is doing at what they do? But we
Awesome.
don't
David.
compete with them in any way.
Okay. Awesome. David, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. This has been awesome.
Thank you, Nick. This is really fun. As you know, I'm a fan of yours. I follow you, and I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. I'm a fan of yours too, and a very happy shareholder. Is there anything else you would like to add?
Have a great day.
You too. Thank you, everyone.